Hello everyone, thank you for watching us. I am pleased to introduce you to this presentation on the topic Silence is Golden, or how to help young learners to start speaking a foreign language. First of all, I would like to thank you for teaching our Ukrainian children in the time of war. Maybe some of you teach them remotely and some of you still teach locally in eastern regions. We all are very grateful for the contribution you make for the future of our children. Thank you again. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Olena Karnechna and I am an ELT consultant for LibraTerra publishing house, and I've also been working as an English teacher for 3 years. Many of us have children, and I mean our own children, not students, especially toddlers. So many of us definitely experience or have already experienced the pre-speaking period before the kids started speaking a native language. The pre-speaking period, also known as the silent period, is the period of each child's life from birth to around 12 months old, during which they have not yet developed the ability to speak words. Even before they can speak, infants are listening to and processing language. They can distinguish between different sounds and tones of their native language and respond to verbal cues and changes in tone. During this pre-speaking period, it's important to engage with infants and toddlers through talking, singing, and reading aloud. This helps them develop their language skills and lays the foundation for later language development. When we say about the pre-speaking period of foreign language acquisition in young learners, it refers to the period before they are able to speak in the target language, during which they are learning the basic sounds, rhythms, and intonations of the language through listening and exposure. This period is critical for the development of foreign language proficiency, as it lays the foundation for later language development, including speaking and communication skills. There are 5 different stages in the foreign language acquisition process: the silent period, the early production period, the speech emergence period, the intermediate production period, the advanced production period. Even though there is wealth of research on these different stages, out of these 5 periods, probably the most misunderstood, ignored, or even unknown both by teachers and students alike is the first, the silent period. Now I would like you to think of the correct answer to the question, how long does the silent period last in young learners who acquire a foreign language? The answer is A, from 2 to 6 months. What is the silent period? The initial phase of the language acquisition process is called the silent period, as learners typically do not speak much during this stage. The duration of this period can vary greatly, lasting anywhere from 2 to 6 months, or even longer, depending on various factors such as the learner's exposure to the foreign language. For example, a foreigner living in a new country and surrounded by a new language all day may experience a shorter silent period than a student in his home country who attends a bilingual school in which a foreign language is taught for 4 or 5 hours a day. In turn, this student's silent period may be considerably shorter than that of a learner studying a foreign language for just 2 hours a week. So, it becomes clear that generalizing how long this period may last is nearly impossible, because it depends on many personal and individual variables that come into play. During this stage, the learners are able to understand more of the language than they can produce. This is comparable to how 2-year-old children may understand what is being said to them, but may not be able to articulate their thoughts as clearly. They may use some of our words, but they would find it impossible to express their ideas in a similarly organized way, in spite of the fact that they may understand every single word we said. This highlights the fact that comprehension generally precedes production. We will always be able to understand much more than we can produce. For example, in spite of knowing little or nothing about economics, accounting, and marketing, when we watch or read news, reports on those fields, we can get a pretty good and accurate idea of what those reports are about. However, if someone asked us to explain what the report said, we would surely resort to general language and simpler explanations to describe what the expert stated using specific jargon and technical analysis. In other words, at the level of comprehension, we could manage to understand everything, but at the level of production, we may not be able to express everything we heard in exactly the same way. Nevertheless, with more exposure to those topics, and if they became meaningful to us and part of our everyday reality, after a while we would be able to start to use that specific jargon as part of our everyday vocabulary. In this example, the stretch of time between our initial exposure to the topic may be the first time we heard a report on those topics and the time when we could talk about it freely without jargon or any language-related problems could be considered a silent period in the field. As we have just seen, it comes to the first contact between a language learner and a foreign language. This takes a new dimension, of course. For a long time, they may be unable to utter a single word, as that is perfectly fine, and it is part of the language acquisition process. This is by far the most difficult period both for teachers and students alike. By knowing this simple fact, both teachers and learners can share the joy of teaching and learning without the stress associated with the feeling that they are not reaching their goals. How often can we meet disappointed teachers complaining about their students' lack of progress, saying, "How can they not say a word after playing games, listening to songs and chants for more than 3 weeks?" The reply is, just give them more time. Here are some tips for encouraging young learners to speak in a foreign language during this pre-speaking period. Let's look a bit closer. Provide a rich language environment. Create a language-rich environment for children, where they can hear and interact with the foreign language on a regular basis. This can include reading books in English, watching videos or TV shows in English, and listening to songs and rhymes. Use gestures and body language. Young learners may not yet have the words to express themselves in English, but they can still communicate through gestures, facial expressions, and body language. Encourage them to use the non-verbal cues to express their needs and feelings. Model the language. As a teacher, model the target language for children by speaking in full sentences, using correct grammar and pronunciation, and providing plenty of opportunities for children to hear and practice the language. Encourage imitation and repetition. Young learners learn by imitation and repetition. Encourage them to repeat words and phrases in a foreign language, and provide positive feedback and encouragement when they do. Use play-based activities. Young learners learn best through play-based activities. that are engaging and fun. Incorporate games, songs, and storytelling into your language learning activities to make them more enjoyable and interactive. Create a supportive and inclusive learning environment. Create a safe and supportive learning environment where young learners feel comfortable practicing and using English. Encourage them to take risks and make mistakes, and provide positive feedback and support when they do. When we disrupt a student's silent period, it can lead to a negative attitude towards language learning. It is therefore a central role of an English teacher to remove stress from the child's language learning experience. However, since English is taught as an academic subject, we tend to require verbal output as a form of evidence that students are making progress in their language learning journey, which is seen as an indicator that teachers are doing their job effectively. We don't realize that this very requirement for proof, this requirement to generate original speech, is creating anxiety and is thereby sabotaging the language acquisition process. During the silent period, teachers should not be requesting verbal output as proof of learning. Instead, the emphasis should be on the amount of comprehensible input that students have been exposed to, and whether they have enjoyed the learning experience without feeling overwhelmed or stressed. This type of evidence should be the focus of assessment, rather than expecting learners to produce speech before they feel comfortable doing so. The role of comprehensible input during the silent period in language acquisition. The research on foreign language acquisition has shown that the amount of comprehensible input a learner is exposed to is the single most important factor in language learning. As teachers, it's important to keep in mind the linear relationship between comprehensible input and language acquisition. The more comprehensible input a student is exposed to, the more language acquisition will happen. In such cases, input-oriented activities are much more effective than output-oriented activities in promoting language acquisition. This is particularly crucial for beginners who are still in their silent period. Therefore, when structuring language classes, it's important to prioritize comprehensible input over output. By doing so, teachers can create a supportive and effective learning environment that helps learners to build a strong foundation in their language, setting them up for success in their continued language learning journey. The benefits of mimicry in language learning. Mimicry can be a powerful tool in language learning, particularly for children. Compared to generating original speech, producing mimicked output can be less intimidating and stressful. Children, in particular, are uniquely capable of mimicry and often find it easy, fun, and not stressful. We can see it in the playground all the time. Kids playing some version of copycat for their own entertainment. In fact, mimicry plays an important role in the development of accents and speech patterns. Children naturally mimic the speech patterns of their parents and elders, which is crucial for them to be perceived as part of their society and protected as such. When it comes to foreign language acquisition, judicious use of mimicry can also improve pronunciation without disrupting the silent period, just as it does with a native language. If approached in a fun and stress-free way, such as through games or playful activities, children can be enticed into regular mimicry can be a beneficial step in their language learning journey. It's important to ensure that there is no pressure to perform or fear of being judged, so that children can fully enjoy the process and develop their language skills in a supportive environment. phonetics, and pronunciation in language learning. Learning a new language involves not only acquiring new vocabulary and grammar rules, but also mastering new sounds and pronunciation, which is formally known as phonetics. This can be a challenging task that requires a lot of practice, as our mouth and tongue muscles need to adapt to new shapes and positions to produce unfamiliar sounds. You've probably heard a native English speaker unsuccessfully attempt to pronounce Ukrainian words. Additionally, we need to learn to read words differently and understand that same letters can make different sounds in different languages. If we are able to regularly work out the muscles in our mouth and tongue in this new way, while not interrupting the silent period with demands for original speech output, then we can improve pronunciation alongside the natural language learning process without disrupting it. How about providing gently scaffolded output where learners are not generating their own speech? If a new language learner struggles to produce original content, it is not due to the production of sounds, but rather the high cognitive burden of creating something new. Starting too soon can interrupt the language acquisition process. However, practicing sounds and words aloud without the burden of creating original content is helpful for developing the muscles of the tongue and mouth. It is possible and necessary to teach young learners short fixed chunks of language. As Pinter explains, the first building blocks that allow children to move from listening to speaking and to begin to participate in interactions with others are so-called unanalyzed chunks. For example, "How are you?" is a fixed chunk that can be taught as a greeting and repeated at the beginning of class. Students don't have to analyze this fixed chunk of meaning and understand it when the teacher uses it every day to greet the class. The teacher can get students to respond with another chunk. "Fine, thank you." Young learners are excellent imitators. Their ability to repeat after a model accurately is one aspect of speaking that should be easy to develop with young learners. So providing them with plenty of models and chances to imitate is important. Repetition is very important for young learners, but teachers have to make it fun, engaging, and as meaningful as possible through activities like songs, chants, and use them correctly. Engage in fun mimicry games to work on pronunciation in a way that won't disrupt the silent period. Let us watch an interesting game that is called "I See Something Blue." You can use it in your lessons.
I See Something Blue is a really simple song for practicing the colors. In this song we practice blue, red, yellow, and purple. Ready? Stand up. Blue.
Red. I see something blue.
Blue.
Red. I see something blue. Blue, 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 blue. I see something blue.
Find something blue.
Blue.
That's okay. Yellow.
Yellow.
I see something yellow. 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 I see something yellow. Yellow, yellow. I see something yellow. Find something yellow. Yellow. Ah, yellow. He's got yellow. Where's yellow, buddy? Oh, yellow. see something red. Red.
Red.
I see something red. Red, 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 red. I see something red. Find something red.
Red. Red. Red.
One more color. Here we go. Purple.
Purple.
I see something purple. Purple.
Purple.
I see something purple. Purple, purple. I see something purple. Find something purple. Find something purple. Purple. Can you find purple? Purple. Make a circle. Blue,
Blue.
yellow,
Yellow.
red,
Red.
purple.
Purple.
I see colors everywhere.
Ooh.
Or you can play and sing this popular nursery rhyme called Head, Shoulders, Knees and Toes. This is a fun song that you can sing to your learners, point to each body parts in the song as you go. Your students will start to learn the words for their body and face. Try getting faster with each line. You can find various videos to this song on YouTube and watch, sing and point to the body parts together with your students. Songs like this help your students learn new words and understand the world around them. This one in particular will help them learn the names of body parts. In some time, they might be able to follow along with the words or actions. You can add other body parts and point to their legs, hair, teeth or ankles. You can also use such popular song as Old MacDonald Had a Farm to teach your young learners animals, or Baby Shark to teach them family members, and so on. Children like hearing their favorite rhymes lots, so you can repeat it whenever you like. Furthermore, our students' book English with Smiling Sam 1 contains numerous total physical response exercises that can be used during your lessons without interrupting the silent period. By incorporating these exercises, you can assist your students to pass through their silent period without stress. TPR exercises are designed to help learners understand and use language in context by connecting language with physical actions. Let's take a closer look.
Page 86.
Сторінка 86.
Lesson 5. Task 1.
Listen and sing.
Cocoa, milk, coffee, tea, stand up and clap with me. Clap, 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 clap. Bread, butter, ham and eggs, sit down and tap your legs. Tap, 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 tap.
Cocoa, milk, coffee, tea. Stand up and clap with me. Clap, 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 clap. Bread, butter, ham and eggs. Sit down and tap your legs. Tap, 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 tap.
When does the silent period transition to the speech generation stage? As previously mentioned, the duration of the silent period can vary between 2 weeks and 6 months and is dependent on the amount of comprehensible input a student receives and the consistency of that exposure, whether it is on a daily or weekly basis. All these impact the length of the silent period. However, the longer you wait to request the output, the more naturally and spontaneously speech generation will actually happen. How does the silent period affect vocabulary development? It affects vocabulary development in much the same way as all other aspects of language learning, so long as the learner is being exposed to lots of comprehensible input in a low-anxiety environment that is engaging. The vocabulary is being built up during this active silent period, even with no drills and tests to prove it. Typically, by the end of their silent period, learners may understand 500 words. It is remarkable that an input-based teaching approach that doesn't require the generation of original speech can still lead to such spontaneous speech capabilities. By providing the brain with sufficient and appropriate input without stress, language learning occurs naturally as designed by nature. Once your student reaches the stage of spontaneous English speaking, it indicates that their silent period is nearing the end. Then you can start gently enticing them to generate output. However, it is essential to be patient and avoid rushing them into generating output too quickly or intensely. This approach will create the most effective language learning experience. In summary, the pre-speaking period of foreign language acquisition is crucial for young learners' language development. Teachers can facilitate speaking and communication skills in English by providing a rich language environment, modeling language, encouraging imitation and repetition, using play-based activities, and establishing a supportive language environment. Thank you all for your attention and your time. I hope this information will be useful for you in the future. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Facebook and Instagram pages. If you have any questions on this topic, feel free to write the comments below the video. Moreover, you can share your struggles and experiences on the silent period in your young learners with us and write in the comments how you cope with it. Thank you again, and may you all have interesting lessons with talkative students.